guys, you know what? Screw the intro. Let's get right into the content. Top 5 most common bug out bag mistakes by yours truly. So number 1, guys, not bringing enough food and water. Sure, yes, of course, you can survive 3 days without food, but do you really want to? Do you want to make a stressful situation that you're not used to any more worse, right? Do you want to make it suck even harder than what it currently is, because you're probably under physical demands that you're not used to, and there's also mental stressors as well. So bringing some food, like a reasonable amount of food, I'm talking like high calorie stuff, high fat, high carb, moderate sugar, is going to be a great idea. And the way you figure this out is I basically take my body weight times 10, and that gives me a rough idea of what my maintenance calories are. Then from that point in time, I can, I have a baseline. So then I can figure like, maybe I'm going to err on the low side of 500 calories because I just need room for more gear, right? Or maybe I'm going to err on, the other side of the equation and just maybe pack in more food, maybe 1,000 calories a day. Typically any sort of 3-day survival ration is going to be about 3,000 to 3,500 calories. So that's kind of a target that I kind of look at when I'm planning out how much food I'm going to pack in my bug out bag. Now, people go on the extremes of that, bringing way too much food. I've had people suggest 3,000 calories a day, which is just nuts. I'm a very active individual, at least 5 to 6 days a week, burning tons of calories between working out and MMA and the gym and running and all that kind of stuff. And I only eat about 1,800 calories a day max. So that's what works for me. You guys got to figure it out for yourself. And then in regards to water, people sometimes forget that the bug out bags have to be seasonal. Like I'm here in Florida right now, the temps are great and there's a water source in this area, it's all good. I don't have to carry that much water with me, but if I was going to an area in the middle of July that had no water or very little water supplies, I would have to bring and pack in more water than I typically would during the winter, right? It just makes sense. Number 2 mistake, guys, is bringing too many tools. I mean, I love tools, I love redundancy, absolutely necessary, but do you truly need multiple knives, 3 flashlights, throwing stars, a hatchet, an axe, a folding saw, bow saw, all that kind of stuff, right? When I see build loadouts like that, I first either figure that the person has not been training, so they really don't know what tools they need, so they just like throw everything in there just to be safe, or they just like carrying a bunch of extra weight with them. Either way, guys, you'll never know the tools that you need in a survival situation until you get out and train, and that's just something you got to do. I mean, you can make cool looking bags and post stuff on Instagram and have a lot of fun with it, but if you're not out training, it doesn't matter. Third mistake, guys, is choosing the wrong pack, and I can speak to this through my own personal experience because I did exactly that. When I first got into the survivalist prepping thing, I just went out and bought a pack. Didn't really have any equipment, and of course ended up getting a bag that was way too big. So with all that empty space in my bag, I just started filling it. Like my OCD kicked in, and before I knew it, I had an extra 10 pounds of crap that I really didn't need. So the way to resolve that is you build out your gear foundation first. You focus on the survival essentials, combustion, cutting, cordage, all that kind of good stuff, shelter. Once you have that gear set up and configured the way you like it, then you can go pick out that perfect pack that's going to fit your gear. It's going to give you a little bit of extra space for nice to have items, stuff like that. But if you don't plan out that foundation, you're either going to end up with something way too big or something like this 511 tactical messenger bag, which is absolutely way too small. It's not even 10 liters. So I've seen people on that side of the game try to turn this into a feasible bug out bag, which literally is just, madness. You can't make it work. I mean, sure, you can hang a ton of stuff off the side of it, but you're going to make yourself a walking target in the process. So best thing to do, guys, best practice is to lay out that gear foundation first and then choose the pack. So one other consideration is, since we're talking about packs and choosing the right pack, is the design of the pack, so you can go all full out tactical on that end of the spectrum, or you can come in, advocating for like a school bag type, type of backpack. And me, I kind of just I fall kind of in the middle. I like the tactical, but I like the discreet side of it. I live in the South and I live near a military installation, so I see that type of gear all the time, so it's not a big deal for me, but that's for me in my situation and your experience and what you need. The type of pack might be a, just a straight up, book bag, like, made by Jensen or something like that. So, your experience and your selections may vary. The important thing is to take those factors into consideration, the situation you're prepping for and the environment that you operate in. Okay, so let's get on to number 4, and that is way too many morale patches. So yes, I understand that 50% survival is about looking cool, and I love looking cool as much as possible. Love my morale patches. Have an entire drawer of them, a freaking bin. Like, so I go through a selection process, which one I'm going to use, but that kind of stuff can get out of control, like what I'm going to show you, with really no need for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 morale patches. It just turns you into a walking target. So tone it down on the morale patches and have some balance, but still be cool as fuck and not look like a tactical douche weasel in the process. That's key. And then finally, guys, number 5, and that is not training with your gear. Like, honestly, why would you go to the effort of buying all this cool kit, all this stuff, and then not get out and train with it? It just makes no sense to me. And honestly, like, hell, it's fun to get outside and train. It's fun to be in the woods. It's fun to disconnect from just the sheer rush and technology of the modern world. It's fun to build fires and cook steaks and crack open a cold one with your friends and just hang out and chill, and for a moment focus on basic tasks, right? It just disconnected, right? And that's what's great about the process. So not only is it fun, but it gives you real world skills and problem solving skills that you can actually use in other situations aside from just survival. I've learned so much about adaptability and task juggling just from being out in the woods, and I apply a lot of those concepts in my day-to-day life. So for me, getting out and training is just absolutely vital. There's no other way to do it. Okay, so we covered the top 5 bug out bag mistakes in my humble opinion. So let's go ahead and look at this 511 tactical messenger bag and actually make it work. Not as a 72-hour bag, but I'm thinking more along the lines of a 24-hour go pack. Okay, so this is making some sense. I'm gonna ditch this blade. Don't need it. We don't need multiple blades, multiple cutting tools. I'm gonna stick with the pocket knife, and I'm going to keep the SOG as my primary blade. Then what I'm gonna do is, obviously, nobody needs multiple knife sharpeners. So I'm gonna ditch all of the knife sharpeners, toss those over there, and then use this pouch right here, store some in there, and we're good. So there's our cutting items, one of the 5 C's. Also included is a folding saw, and this is debatable. I mean, do you really need the multi-tool in a 24-hour bag? You might be able to basically flip this out. I think I'll probably just stick with the multi-tool since that has a small blade and put this off to the side. Then, binoculars. I love being able to see in front of me and surveil areas that, you know, I can't get up close to right off the bat. So a monocle is nice. It's perfect size for a 24-hour bag. And then the food selection obviously needs to be expanded, but you know, this is a good foundation. We got lots of peanuts, lots of carbs, lots of high fats. And right here alone, we get 500 calories for both bars. And then we also get, let's see here, almost 300 calories a piece here. So right here is like basically a day's food. This is over 1,000 calories. So I feel good about that. Obviously, one of the 5 C's is a container. So stainless steel, clean canteen, good to go. Then, I don't know, guys. How many flashlights does one person need in a 24-hour bag? I would go with either 2, or if this thing is fully charged up and good to go, then you really only need 1 flashlight, okay? Tactical pin, not really necessary, nice to have. The paracord, absolutely, we're gonna keep that. And then, I don't know, guys, the morale patches thing is kind of a toss-up. I think I'm gonna go with this, one of my favorite patches from the Ukraine, and just leave it at that. And then the other patches can get tossed over there. Then the medical game, you saw that this was attached via Velcro on the front. Probably not the most secure attachment. So the medical, this is something else that people neglect, but you know, hey, you know, I think I got a little bit in here. I mean, basically all you need is super glue and gauze pads and some band-aids, and you're pretty much good. I mean, that's what I hear. That's what I saw on YouTube, so it seems good to go. But obviously a medical kit would need to be expanded within reason. You know, I threw this stuff in here as kind of like a joke. You know, if you're anywhere near a nuclear explosion, you're probably going to die. And these pills, I don't know how much they're going to actually help you, you know. But sometimes people throw this shit in their bag and it's like, yeah, I'm you know, covered for that. One thing I do think is important in a kit like this is either caffeine pills or something along these lines, these stackers plus, right? So that's going to be able to enable you to stay awake for a while, kind of helpful. And yeah, so the medical kit obviously needs a little bit of work, but you know, it's a good start. And change my mind about the super glue and bandages, please. Obviously I'm just joking, but anyways, then finally on to another one of the 5 C's, and that's basically cover or shelter. So I'm going with my Snug Pack Enhanced Patrol Poncho and an extra pair of socks. So then finally, guys, I'm also going to toss in my Baofeng dual band FM transceiver 2-way radio. This thing's a beast. I've used this a ton at various events in, you know, in large crowds, between vehicles and a convoy, and it's super dependable. Great range, keeps it charged for a long time. So in a 24-hour situation, I want to be able to either communicate with people who are on the same band within range, or just be able to, you know, listen to what the hell is going on out there. So I'm feeling a lot better about this now. We eliminated all of these tools that were unnecessary right here, the patches, all that kind of crap. And now we got the 5 C's covered with a bit of redundancy built in. We got our cutting tools, the SOG seal pup, and then the multi-tool. Then moving on to combustion, we got the Bic lighter and this Ranger beads set up from Friendly Swede that has a fire steel and striker on it. Then moving on to cordage, we got this big roll of Titan Survivor cord, and then there's also a paracord bracelet attached to the messenger bag. And then, you know, obviously one of the 5 C's is a container. So stainless steel container, good to go. And then finally the cover, which is the Snug Pack poncho. That's going to be the shelter, and then an extra pair of socks. Okay guys, that's all I got. I wanted to keep it short and sweet, and honestly, like, if you get anything out of this video at all, which I hope you do, please let it be that you need to get out and train. It's fun. It's fun to be outside. It's fun to disconnect. It's fun to get dirty. And it's fun just to do things that you don't usually do on a day-to-day existence. So that's the thing, guys. Get out there and train, get your gear squared away, and then use that experience to customize it and make it that much better. So I appreciate you guys watching. You know the deal. Hit me up in those comments. Let me know some of the bug out bag mistakes you have made or you've seen other people make, because I've definitely seen some crazy stuff out there. So once again, guys, I appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.